Broadcasting from the Merritt Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my incredible colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Man, we have a number of subjects to tackle, so we'll start off with football. Big Rich, what happened during week 14 in the National Football League?
Well, we'll start with Philadelphia Eagles clinch their division or clinch a playoff spot. Clinch a playoff spot. The Dallas still has a chance to catch them. I would say an outside chance to catch them, but they did first team to clinch the playoffs. So Philly will be going to the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they won 48-22 at the Giants. Scored 24 points in each half, pretty much dominant. Jalen Hurts, he is the first quarterback to have 10 rushing TDs in consecutive years, like in the history of football, which is hard to believe.
That is hard to believe,
considering there's been
Michael Vick,
yeah,
Randall Cunningham,
sure,
definitely running quarterbacks.
Jalen Hurts, now the favorite to be the MVP.
Yeah, he became the favorite to win, and now you got Holmes at a 2-1, and you got Burrow at 5-1. But yeah, he becomes a favorite for the first time.
Okay,
so he scored 48 points and over the lowly Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
That's one of my picks.
Okay.
That's a preview of our picks. Any other games you saw that were interesting?
We'll talk about the third one. Why don't we go with Joe Burrow? I think he's starting to look like, he's the MVP type of caliber he was last year. They got 9 wins and they're looking good too.
Yes, very.
Joe Burrow's looking great, and that Cincinnati team looks every bit as good as they were last year.
That's going to be another one of my picks there.
Okay.
Another preview. Awesome. And what else caught your eye?
What do you have to talk about? Mr. Irrelevant, I think at some point in the show. I mean, we have Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft. He's playing for the 49ers, and he totally outplays the GOAT. Tom Brady still does not look like the GOAT this year. I mean, I think at some point, and we'll preview this for some games coming up with them with that lousy, what is it? The NFC South is just a mess.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So San Francisco has won six consecutive games now. They're spread 14-3 against the spread in their last 17 games against NFC. Mm-hmm. So
you have to give that defense credit, man. The San Francisco defense.
They're playing great. Bosa's doing great at the end, and then they're definitely stopping the run, and their defensive backs, they've had a couple injuries, but they overcame those like everybody's injured this time of year.
I will also give the referee some credit. Penalties, 8 penalties against Tampa Bay for 62 yards. San Francisco, 2 penalties for 15. I thought the game was officiated one-sidedly. Brady got hit in the back of the head on one play. They didn't call any penalty on that. McCaffrey, I thought, was pretty sure out of bounds on that one catch where he juggled it, and they gave him the catch anyway. I don't know if they were changing the rules just for this game, but he was out of bounds on that play. So, I mean, it's tough enough to beat the other team when they're playing good, let alone the other team and the referees
at home.
So, Joe, you're saying they swallowed the whistle. Is what you're saying? They swallowed the whistle for the hometown team.
Yes,
they
did.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Joe, I mean, I think everybody that loses a bet would say that the referees are against your team, but I like it better when they're not involved and let the players play.
Yeah,
and try to be as fair as they can.
Yes, I would have liked that too, but okay. I didn't see that happening. I got to watch that game pretty closely right in front of me on the big screen, and I thought it was kind of unfair, but we'll move on. It's not that they were going to win the game. I'm not saying Tampa Bay would have won the game, but the score was not indicative.
That was you in front of the big screen at the casino yelling. I thought I heard somebody yelling over there, so I think it might have been you.
Everybody was sitting there listening to me. I wasn't the only one who heard me, believe me.
Up here we do have a lot of 49er followers. So
man, it was pretty bad.
Yes, we do.
Were there any other games that caught your attention?
Well, I mean, let's just talk about the second place leader for the MVP, Mahomes.
Yes.
They played great. I was really surprised that Jerry Jeudy had 3 touchdowns. And
Wow.
Denver
scored 28 points.
Yeah, I think they scored 28 points in 3 games. So that was one of my losing picks. Thank you very much, Denver, for not scoring a few touchdowns. So, I mean, people Mile High had something to cheer about. So, I mean, that was good for them, the season ticket holders. And I'll give you guys that against the game. I'm going to give you Russell Wilson did get a concussion and left the game, and he's doubtful that he'll play the rest of the year. They're 3 wins. I mean, there's no sense in even playing him. But I'll give you guys the first sink or swim. Okay. So last week we told you that Russell Wilson had his new house built in northern Colorado, had 12 bathrooms.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Yeah. He did throw 3 touchdowns last week. Under or over, he has more touchdowns than bathrooms right now.
Right now?
I'd have to say bathrooms at this exact moment. It's been an awful season.
Yes, he has 11 touchdowns, so he's going to be 1 short of his bathroom mark. So
he's done for the season.
He might be done for the season. So that 1 bathroom will not be used until he scores another touchdown.
A stat on the back of his playing card.
Do you guys think that the Broncos defense exposed the Kansas City's offense a little bit?
No, they still scored 34 points.
34-28. I would say Kansas City's defense showed some weakness.
Yes, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so when you're going to the Super Bowl and you have to, just to get to the Super Bowl, you have to play teams like Cincinnati we're talking about and Buffalo talking about. I don't know.
I think they've shored up their run defense, but because they want to play defense, they want how they got past Patrick Mahomes last year. You play keep away, you run the ball, and you don't have to give Patrick Mahomes the ball. And I think they did shore up their defensive run, but I think they exposed. 3 touchdowns by Jared Diddy.
Other teams are going to see that film, and I just think that that was a highlight reel for other teams to start watching.
So you're really saying, Gator, that Russell Wilson has a highlight reel? Is what you're saying?
I'm saying the Broncos have a highlight.
Okay, we have a highlight. Okay, 1 highlight throughout I didn't think there was no light at all.
Well, but they did expose, and I'm sure that Buffalo and Cincinnati and teams of that nature are going to be looking at that.
I'm not picking Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl. So
me neither, Joe.
I'm in agreement with you on that, Gator.
Okay, good job. Good stuff there, fellas. Okay, and then let's talk about who slipped up. Some of our forerunners that were we thought were in the playoffs, probably for sure. The Titans slipped up. And the Jaguars are right now 2 games out from the Titans, and week 18, the last game of the year, they play them, and they've already beat them once. So wouldn't that be something if the Titans slip up one more game, that game could be who goes to the playoffs?
And that's in Jacksonville.
It's in Jacksonville, correct? And they just whooped them pretty good. So that's something to look forward to. What about the Seahawks? They slipped again. You guys were all on the Geno wagon over here. Everybody was drinking the Geno Kool-Aid, and I think that they're seeing the kind of team they are. They're an average team. They play decent, but I say they're mediocre.
Maybe Carolina's a little better than I thought too. I'm surprised that they went up there and scored 30 points.
Exactly.
Geno doesn't make the mistakes. He doesn't have the numbers like a Brady or anybody like that, but he has he doesn't make the mistakes.
Yeah, they did score 24. I thought that was going to be enough to win the game. But
you would think, and Carolina. We'll talk about that. They're not out of the playoffs, and they've given away half their team. The best player, one of the best, McCaffrey's one of the best players in the NFL. So, and I think, what about the Dolphins? Just don't even want to go back to California after last week. 49ers this week, LA. Tua did not have a very good game on Sunday night. Definitely was off target. He's been so accurate throughout the year, and it seemed like he was just a little bit off. So
what I didn't understand, Big Richard, was after the throwing game was not working, why did they not go to the running game? The Chargers are one of the worst in the run.
Well, they did. They were stopping the run. They were not getting anything going on that run, and the Tua was basically running for his life back there. He had to make, he does that one of the quickest.
16 rushing attempts. Now, Tua had 3, so they had 19 total, but 16 rushing attempts for the whole game.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Gator. The Chargers are very weak on run defense. I think they needed to keep pounding and keep trying, and instead of just giving up.
Yes, and that's what it looked like to me, that they gave up or just kept. I don't know what they were doing, Joe. That's kind of why I'm questioning it.
And Justin Herbert looks like the correct pick, not Tua
Yeah.
Tagovailoa in the draft.
So you're jumping, you're piling on Joe. Joe's piling on Tua. He had a couple bad games in California. He goes back home. He has and doesn't get any better. He's going to Buffalo right this week. So
yeah, it's going to be real rough.
So,
mighty chilly up there.
went from nice, warm California 2 games. Now he's going to go play in the Great White North.
Yep. How about that Rams come back against Las Vegas? Baker Mayfield, 2 touchdowns in the last 6 minutes. Oh, the Raider fans. They're
screaming and crying. I mean, I don't think Derek Carr was crying after that game. I didn't see
Thursday night game.
Yeah, Thursday night game. But what about Baker Mayfield? Didn't even know his team, players on his team, didn't even know their names. You know, you had to say, can you turn around so I see what your name is, who I'm going to throw it to next time? I mean, he was only in camp probably about a day and a half, maybe 20 some hours, and gets the job. You know, it looked like the Raiders had that game and they were inching towards another playoff run. And I mean,
a couple of mistakes. That interception in the end zone that Carr threw was a bit of a momentum turner.
Yes,
but gave the Rams some life. But still, you got to put
third loss, winning by 13 or more in the fourth quarter. Third time they've lost the game. So just poor clock management. Poor being efficient and just putting your boot on somebody and finishing them off. And that definitely cost them a playoff run this year.
Dallas looked very listless, basically sleptwalked through their game to win 27-23. They did get that 98-yard drive to win the game at the end. Looked good there. But I would also factor in that although it's not a huge rivalry, Dallas and Houston do have a rivalry. That those cities do hate each other.
They do.
And so Houston was fired up for that game.
Yeah, they definitely came out and played.
Okay. Detroit defeated Minnesota 34-23. Detroit was 1-6. Now they're 6-7. What a story that is. Nobody saw that coming.
Well, I'm telling you, man, it's just things change real quickly, and momentum is a true thing.
And finally, New England won at Arizona. Kyler Murray done for the season. 27-13, New England won. And that could be a preview of a You Got Host story, maybe?
Maybe.
Sure. Okay. So,
well, I know. But what a second half that Belichick played. I mean, they look like the backup quarterback was playing great. McCoy came in there, and I think probably has to be the best backup quarterback in football. Every time Murray goes down, he steps right up and plays well. And he definitely did. And
they were leading 13-10
and they had a nice drive and was running the ball on New England. And then second half, they shut him down, held him to 3 points. And Belichick does it right when you want to put a fork in Belichick. He always pops up again, like whack-a-mole.
You can thank DeAndre Hopkins for running with the ball like a loaf of bread and fumbling it and having the ball returned for a touchdown.
He does have the biggest hands in football, but he do need to protect it.
Yes.
That was like a Pop Warner mistake.
Yep.
That was unbelievable.
And I like it the way he was pointing at his chest like it's my fault. And I'm like, well, who else's fault is it? He dropped the ball. I mean, who else is going to blame?
Right, at that point.
Or the turf monster or somebody. I don't know what else he can blame. But he was definitely at fault.
So, layest player and injury news for this week. I guess we should talk about a few injuries that we had. Did you catch any of them? Or should
Kyler Murray, ACL out for the year. Right. We hit that a little bit.
Yes. You got Deebo Samuel for San Francisco out at least 3 weeks. That's an MCL and a high ankle sprain. They say he might be back for the last week of the regular season.
So he has a knee sprain and a high ankle sprain, which is the most important thing for cutting as a wide receiver. Yeah. You know,
and he's going to be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe. I'm going to guess San Francisco is going to have that division clinched, and they'll just save him for the playoff game.
Right. That's previewing my picks right here for next week.
Okay. How about the concussion protocol? Wilson, we mentioned him for Denver, Pickett for Pittsburgh, and Huntley for Baltimore. I mean, that's 3 guys we got to look out for. But it, like you said, it appears Wilson probably done for the season. We have Higgins and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd hurt for Cincinnati. Tyler Boyd is going to be out. I don't know if that'll make a big difference. Jeff Wilson Jr. is hurt for Miami, the running back. Damian Pierce for Houston, and Mike White, the quarterback for the Jets. Those are injuries.
Took a brutal shot from Buffalo, didn't he?
Yes.
I mean, he toughed it out, played good, and came back and covered the spread for me. Appreciate that, man. He's a tough guy.
Super tough.
Right.
Not many quarterbacks would have come back from that. And so he'll get a lot of respect from his teammates. Dallas lost their tackle. Steele, he's done for the season, and turned around and signed T.Y. Hilton, which is interesting because Odell Beckham was the guy that was supposed to be the guy going there.
Well, I think he still has a chance to go there, Joe. I mean, they're still in contract talks. But right now they had the doctors look at him. There's no guarantee he can play. So why would you pay somebody that's not going to play for you? So
yeah, especially since he wants to be paid for next year also.
Right.
I mean, there are other options out there, and they took one. And T.Y. Hilton, we'll see how that goes off. And Buffalo got Cole Beasley back to shore up some of theirs, and they don't need Odell Beckham either, apparently.
Apparently, they're not on the O train.
No, certainly not. So it's time again to take a look at our weekly betting trends. Last week, things got back to normal with 8 underdogs and 5 favorites covering the point spread. 4 dogs won straight up, as did 6 road teams. 7 games went over, 6 went under the point spread totals. Through week 14, that's 118 dogs, 90 favorites that have covered. 73 dogs have won straight up, 88 road teams, 115 games have gone under and 93 over. We did say at the beginning of the season to lean towards dogs and under. It's it's kind of evened out as the season has gone, but still that is the trend. Division games, 41 games under, 27 over. On a side note, best home records. This is just straight up, no point spreads. Dallas is 7-1, Minnesota, Philly, and San Francisco 6-1, Cincinnati, Miami, and Kansas City 5-1, Buffalo 4-1. All those teams have lost only 1 home game. So, and as you see, they're all very good teams.
Well, one of those home games was in Detroit for Buffalo.
Okay.
So they were in Detroit because they got snowed out. Remember, they had to bring everybody to Detroit. So, but that's still. I mean, I think as long as you got Josh Allen, you got a chance, right?
Right.
I think so.
The most dominant point differentials over their opponents. You can just look that in the standings. That's Philadelphia has outscored their opposition by 138, Buffalo 132, Dallas 131, and San Francisco 120. Obviously, though, those teams are pretty good. So we think again, Butch, the Rain Man Roberts for those statistics. So Big Richard,
Butch,
what are your point spread picks for week 15?
Last week was 2-2, so it was a sister kisser.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the middle with 2-2. Tough to pick. Like you said, the dogs came back this week and kind of bit me on a few games. I had Vegas, and I thought that was for sure a winner. And here we go again.
Should have
had it. You thought it was in the bank. A lot of 4-letter words being saying around my house. Okay,
could have been a you got host story.
Could be a got host story for sure.
Okay. So what do you got for this week?
Well, this week, I'm going to start off with the 49ers like you just talked about. 49ers are going to play at Seattle. I love the 49ers this week to go there and take their division. McCaffrey is banged up, and it's a Thursday night game, so it's something to watch. But that offense is definitely rolling. I mean, they just dismantled Tom Brady. The defense is playing great. And I'm not drinking the Geno Kool-Aid. I'm taking the 49ers.
It's a huge game, division
3.5, and I think if they get this, they're cruising all the way to the play. To clinch that the West.
Yesterday, it actually went down to 3, so that's even a bigger bargain.
Bigger bargain. Take that half a point.
Hard to
the hook is on your favor.
Explain why that spread is going down, but we'll see. That's tomorrow night.
Well, we said about division games and home dogs is like that's the pattern.
So, yes. Well, Seattle 12th man, they'll be really fired up for that one.
Yes.
Okay. What else you like?
Well, I like the Vikings at home. They're dropping 4 against Indy. I think Indy's a mess. And I think the Vikings bounce back after their Detroit whooping they took from Jared Goff and the Detroit Motor City boys took care of them. So I like the Vikings minus the 4. I think they bounce back well.
Yeah. They are 10-3.
Right.
So Detroit has been on fire.
5-7. A couple of those games could have went the other way. They'd be right in the mix. I think that they still have an outside chance of making it because of that Giants and Washington had that tie. And I think that half a game might give Detroit a chance to get in there.
They play each other this week, so one of them is guaranteed a loss.
Exactly.
Or a tie.
Yeah.
2 ties.
Right.
That means something.
We'll just pick that one. Okay, the Giants of Washington. That's my next pick. Right. I'm going to say they get over the hump of 40. They're at 40 exactly last week. So the 40 again, the odds maker made it right at 40 again. I say they kick the field goal in overtime this time, and someone wins, and it goes over 40.
So strange that Washington played the Giants, had a bye week, and now they play the Giants again. So they're back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks. And I'm saying they go over 40 because that game could go either way. They're very evenly matched, of course, as you can see, because you can't get more even than a tie after 4 quarters of football and 1 period of overtime. And you're still tied. They're very equal.
But I think the Giants are on a downslide.
Oh, boy.
Big
I think they're 0-3-1 in their last
they're-
4.
Oh, so
They're
you guys were
falling.
all drinking the Giants and the Jets Kool-Aid early, and then now you guys are
gotta look at the
spooing out.
stats.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
If Detroit's going to get in, that's the team I'm looking at,
I
the Giants.
love to see Detroit get in there because my Uncle Mike's got them. He put 50 on them. He's got 150 to 1 odds, I think, if they win the Super Bowl. So he had Cincinnati last year. He's got Detroit this year. So he's got a good chance again.
When they were 1-6, he should have jumped another $5 or $10 on it.
I know. It would probably have 500.
200.
Exactly. So, but they were, like you said, playing well. They scored a lot of points. Just that pass defense definitely has a problem.
Okay.
All right, Cincinnati at Tampa Bay. I'm going to drop the 3.5. Joe Burrow's playing great. If you think that Brock Purdy whipped you up, wait till you got Joe Cool coming into town, and I think he's going to beat him by more than the 3.5. Tom Brady is a mess, and that goes into Carolina has a chance. I think that they're only maybe a game out of first. Is that true? I mean, they're like maybe 2 games at the most.
When
they're 6 and 8
in the win column that they're behind.
Exactly. So Carolina could get rid of their best player and still make the playoffs and probably still draft 15th in the next year. You know,
amazing.
So I think Tampa Bay's in the market for a quarterback. They might want to tank and get some of these nice quarterbacks that are coming out. Bryce Young. Okay. And then, and then my last, this is the big rich pick of the week. LA Rams are at Green Bay. If you remember how bad LA plays in the cold, it's a 13-degree game. It's a Sunday night game. Take the under, take the Packers. I'd love the under in this 39.5. In the cold, and Aaron Rodgers had problems with his offense also, so I see that game going under, but I'm also going to take Green Bay in that.
Green Bay and under, laying 7 and going under 39.
Yep, exactly.
That's tough to do, and you're just expecting the Rams to just score like maybe 10 points.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's going to be how poorly they played last year when they were the Super Bowl team last year, and how poorly they played in the cold up there last year. I think it was a Monday night game last year, and I see the same thing happening.
All right.
Okay.
Gabe. Oh, do we got more?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about Atlanta. Let's talk about Marcus Mariota. He gets replaced by Spencer Riddler.
Spencer Rattler.
Riddler. Ritter from
Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati.
Yes.
University
of Cincinnati.
Yes. And he played great in preseason, and he replaced Marcus Mariota, and Marcus Mariota took his football and went home. He said, I'm not going to play anymore. So,
oh, wow.
So he said he's done he just said, I'm done.
He just quit?
He just quit after, after being replaced. So, I mean, they do have a chance. I think they have an outside chance of making it too. I mean, everybody in that division, I think, still has a chance.
Yes, they do.
I think that'll be that division. I'm going to predict that whoever wins that division will probably have a losing record. So,
yeah.
Unless Tampa Bay gets hot right now, I don't think anybody else has a chance to.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
All right.
So another one, North Carolina. I'm going to say Carolina Panthers. They're at home, and they just went up there and smashed Seattle. They shouldn't have any problem with a picketless Steeler team, even though that Steeler does play good defense. But I'm going to say North Carolina at home.
That's Mitch Trubisky.
So we got,
going to be quarterback for Pittsburgh.
So that's not a good recipe for a win for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so, or if he was playing for Chicago or wherever Trubisky goes, Trubisky has a hard time scoring. And I like North Carolina. I like the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
That's my picks for the week.
All right. Gator, do you have anything to add to that?
Okay. Well, I like a Big Richards of San Francisco and Minnesota. I would totally agree with that. I do like the Jets. I know that the quarterback got hurt, but the weather up there in Detroit is a dome team, and they're going to be outside. And I watch these networks, and everybody's going on Detroit
because they're on fire. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the Jets.
You like the Jets.
Yeah. Another one that I like is I like Vegas to beat New England. They're going to be at home.
Oh, wow.
Yep, exactly. I was wrong last week with New England, but I think Vegas is going to win that game. And I do think that Denver's going to beat Arizona in Denver.
Well, I could see that. That could be a pretty ugly game.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, if it is ugly, I think that's the only way they're going to win that. But so
Judy's playing great. He had 3 touchdowns last week. So.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So my turn now, I guess. I ended up an even 2-2 again last week. Very mediocre again. But over the last 12 weeks, still I've gone 32-15. That's 68%. Can't complain about that.
Not at all.
Well, I heard you complaining at the casino.
That wasn't one of my picks. Okay. Tampa Bay wasn't one of my picks, but nothing upsets me more than one-sided officiating.
I agree, Joe.
And anyway, this week, I totally agree with you. I like Cincinnati -3.5 at Tampa Bay. Cincinnati has won 5 consecutive games and is 10-1 against the spread over their last 11. And they're my pick right now to come out of the AFC and play in the Super Bowl. Tampa is 3-9-1 against the spread. They're having a horrible year.
Right.
I'm agreeing again. Carolina -2.5 at home against Pittsburgh. Carolina fighting for that NFC South title. I'm trying.
Is it a title if you have a losing record?
Yes.
You still get a title.
You still get a
Participation trophy.
you get a home playoff game too.
Wow.
Yeah. So Dallas right now would be going to the winner of that division is what it looks like. That could be interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm trying Houston +14 at home against Kansas City. That 14 points in the NFL's just on principle. I got to take 14 at home.
Okay.
Kansas City 3-9-1 against the spread this year. I'm going with Philly and Chicago to score more than 48.5 points. Philly 7-1 over in their last 8. Chi-Town 8-2 over in their last 10. And finally, we touched on this, Gator. I'll try Arizona and Denver to go under 36.5 points. No Kyler Murray, no Russell Wilson. Denver 11-2 under on the season.
And they did have we'll have Rockin being the quarterback for Denver, so that's a very good pick for the under for sure, because he hasn't played well, and like you said, Denver's usually under.
Okay. So a friendly reminder: there are 3 games Saturday, so get your bets in and set your fantasy football lineups too.
Exactly.
Don't forget if you're still in. Okay. Now we must move on to college football. What were the big stories from last week?
Well, I think the biggest story has to be Caleb Williams, don't you think?
Well, I would have gone with Mike Leach, but Caleb Williams, that's
a
personal deal on that for me.
Okay, yeah, Mike Leach did pass away, and of a heart attack, I believe, and he had definitely had heart issues.
Mississippi State head coach Mike Leach,
right. Also Washington State he was a coach for Washington State. Great coach. Texas Tech, only 61 years old.
Right. So
tough loss for the college football world. One of the popular coaches for sure in the league, and the SEC is going to definitely be at a loss not having Mike Leach with the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Yeah, he was the inventor of the air raid offense, which like 3 of the 4 guys at the Heisman Trophy, kind of using variations of that, used by many schools. But really, he was more known for his unique personality. He'd be more likely to talk about UFOs, pirates, Geronimo, I don't know, whatever. And he even taught a class on Game of Thrones in college. So very interesting fellow. There will never be another Mike Leach. So rest in peace.
Right.
Back to the Heisman Trophy ceremony last Saturday.
We told you Caleb Williams would win it, and Caleb Williams did win it. I think he was definitely the best player. If he was coming out of the draft this year, which is not, I would say he would be the number 1 pick. I would say Caleb Williams definitely has Patrick Mahomes type of talent, and I think we can see him playing on Sundays, not next year, but the year after. I think Max Duggan got second place. He had 1,420 votes to Caleb Williams' 2,031 points for his for the Heisman Trophy, and then Stetson Bennett finished last, and CJ
fourth.
Well, he finished fourth of the 4 finalists. He had 36 votes, and CJ Stroud finished third. He had 37 votes, but he got him by a tick. But you look at Stetson Bennett; he's 27-3 as a starter. His last 3 years, and he's had 2 undefeated seasons as a Bulldog, the regular seasons. So only losing to the SEC championship, Alabama, in the last 2 years. So, I don't know what else the guy has to do, but, he's definitely had a great game against Tennessee. I thought he might have had a chance to get it. He had that great run, 30-yard run on 3rd down that definitely gave him the momentum to beat the Tennessee Volunteers.
My pick would have been, as I said, TCU quarterback, Max Duggan. He did come in second. He got more respect than I expected. But
Well, if you saw that game against Kansas State, he just put him on his back.
Yeah.
And then they get on that 1 yard line. They don't even give him a chance to punch it in. They went to the run and didn't give him a chance.
Yeah, didn't give him a chance.
That's the guy I would have done it because he definitely has great potential. And of course, he reminds us of the new red rifle. We had
Andy
Dalton, the original red rifle out there in TCU. Now we have another one.
I see better potential for Duggan personally. I don't know where TCU would have been had he not been the quarterback. Whereas when I look at Williams and Stroud and Bennett, I think those teams would have been pretty darn good, even with other quarterbacks.
Right.
I don't think TCU would have been anywhere without Duggan.
Played a great season. Very good quarterback percentage rating too, QBR. He was leading it for this nation most of the year.
Right. So bowl season begins Friday.
The bowl season does begin.
This year there are 42 of them. Oh my
42.
God.
Well, I'm going to talk about some of these guys that are not going to be playing in the bowls. Okay. So first of all, Bijan Robinson from Texas, he opted out of his bowl game. Will Levi from Kentucky, quarterback, who very much looks
Levis.
He looks like Josh Allen type of quarterback, big guy, probably one of the strongest guys in the gym. He goes on the bench press with the linemen. So big guy, strong guy. Like you said, he's 6 foot, I think 5 or 6'4". So real tall guy. Joey Porter from Penn State, cornerback, says, I'm not going to play in my bowl game. And Tavion Thomas from Utah, the running back, will not be playing in the Rose Bowl. So it's something you have to look at when you're making bets. Really, really watch who's playing because it definitely has some different, can make it changes. So I'm going to ask you guys, sink or swim, should Bryce Young, who's going to be entering the draft for sure this year, should he play in the Sugar Bowl?
Well,
but you guys sink or swim? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion is it should be up to the player and the coach.
Well, Nick Saban's going to want his best. I mean, you don't want Bryce Young. I mean, but you got
to want your best players to play.
Right.
Personally, I think they should always play. Of course, I want, you go through the whole season, the off season, the regular season, conference, and now you get to the bowl game and now you're not going to play. It just seems wrong to me. And
well, you look at Matt Carroll, and Matt Carroll played last year in his bowl game, which wasn't in the championship game. It wasn't the 4 championship.
Corral, yes, for Mississippi.
Yes, for Mississippi. And he ended up going in the 3rd round instead of the 1st round, and was like the 93rd pick or 94th pick of the draft, and cost him millions by playing for his team, Ole Miss, in his bowl game. So I don't think he would say he would change that, but definitely would. I think it has to weigh heavy on the heart of Bryce Young. So I'm going to give you guys another sink or swim before we get into our picks. Okay, so Alabama is usually in the finals, but they weren't in 2019. They played the Citrus Bowl against Michigan. Okay, so Tavon Diggs, your great cornerback, from plays for the Cowboys now. One of the best DBs, led the league in interceptions
last year.
So he was he's the last, but the only player to opt out since 2014 when the college playoff started. 2014, he is the only Alabama player to opt out.
Oh wow!
I swim.
I would. I'm gonna say sink. I'm gonna guess there had to be another one somewhere. There had to be one more.
Terrell Lewis. There was 2. That sink. Terrell Lewis. The same year opted out of that.
The same year.
So yeah, he's the linebacker for the world champion Rams. So he didn't get to play in the Citrus Bowl, but he got to play in the Super Bowl. So it was a good choice for him. Obviously, I think he would take a Super Bowl ring over a Citrus Bowl T-shirt.
So I guess that's the deal. If you're not in the Final Four, the college football playoff, you're more likely to opt out. Well, but if you got a chance to win a national championship, then you're going to go for it. You're going to
go for it for sure. That's your goal when you set your season. I don't think that would not look well. Not playing in a chance to have a national.
I also think that when you go to college and you do your 4 years, you should have to do your 4 years. And I don't like that basketball players don't
earn your scholarships.
Earn it.
Yeah. You got a bowl game. Come on, guys. You get a trophy, and and for the seniors, it's their last game and they want to go out a winner, and you're not going to have your best player out on the field.
I mean, okay, so Bryce Young, he could better his chances if he goes out there and he knocks the door off in the Sugar Bowl.
Exactly.
He can better. He was playing TCU, just knocked off. Playing Kansas State, who just knocked off TCU. So
he could look really good.
He could look really good and help his draft.
I agree with that.
So it can go either way. But anyway, that's a personal decision, and I kind of I wouldn't say it again, but if you were going to get out of the national championship, one of the national championships, then I would believe that would be wrong. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Okay. So the bowl season's here, the most happiest time of the year. It starts on Friday.
Of course.
So,
well, we have 13 bowls between now and next Wednesday. Do you have any predictions for any of those?
We'll start on 5. Okay. So Moore is the coach for UAB. They're dropping 11 UAB over Miami of Ohio. Do you have anything on that, Gator?
Well, Miami, Ohio has covered each of its last 4 bowl games. UAB comes in 1-6 against the spread over its past 7 games. UAB is 18-9-2 against the spread and a double-digit favorite since the start of 2017 season. And one more, UAB is 0-3 against the spread off more than 6 days of rest. 0-3.
Those are some pretty interesting stats. Pretty obscure, a couple of those for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I like Miami of Ohio. Just that part right there.
Yeah.
You're saying they're covered their last 4 bowl games. UAB 1-6 and their past 7. I'm going to take 10.5. I'm going to lean towards double digits in the Bahamas. They're out there enjoying this.
UAB played really good against Ohio State. That's why I'm making that pick. I think they played some really tough teams. And I think Miami, Ohio, what's their record this year?
It's probably
like
6-6. So this is one of the lower bowls.
Right.
And last year, I remember that the taking the points and going over early in the bowl season was winning money.
Okay.
So I'm leaning that way just from memory also.
I'm with you solely on that, Joe.
Okay, but it's the Cure Bowl. It's in Orlando, Florida. I think it's the Duluth Cure Bowl. Is that right there, Gator?
The Cure, one of my friends' favorite bands.
Okay,
they're sponsoring the bowl.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Cure, for sponsoring this great game we're going to have. I mean,
we're going to have a lot of Cure music.
We've been hot on the Roadrunners of San Antonio the last 2 years. I love the coach there. He had some offers to leave, and he signed a 10-year contract. Said he's going to stay with his team.
Wow.
So he likes to stay there. That the team is very good. They're playing the boys of Troy. I'm going to take the +1.5. What do you got there, Gator? You got any stats for us?
Mostly Troy stats. Troy is 10-2 against the spread this season. That's tied for second best covering percentage in the FBS. The over is 8-0 in each of Troy's last 8 bowl games. And Troy is 5-0 against the spread against teams with winning records this season.
Well, you just gave me my pick there, Gator.
The analytics say go with Troy. I'm taking the Roadrunners.
I'm going with the over. The last 8 bowl games involving Troy have all gone over. I mean, what else do you need to know? You don't even have to think about it. You
just
don't
bet the over.
Just bet the over and watch it happen.
Watch it happen. Watch them run up there and watch the referees give us the touchdown Jesus sign. All right, good deal.
Beautiful. And that's the only 2 picks I got. Miami and the over and Troy. So
okay, I want to talk about the Washington State. They're getting +3.5 against Fresno. Fresno did look good. Fresno State looked good in their championship game against Boise. I did hit that. But Cameron Ward, he's Michael Vick looking, man. I mean, if you guys get a chance just to watch Cameron Ward play quarterback, and they have our guy out here. We can watch him one more time. Fury, who came out of here from Sparks, wide receiver, and they looked really good in their last game. Their offense did, and so I'm going to take the 3.5. I'm going to take Washington State. I like the 3.5, and that is the LA Bowl Jimmy Kimmel board. Thank you,
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, thank you for sponsoring that.
He will not be singing.
He will not be singing, but he probably would be telling a joke. I'm sure.
Washington State is 7-1 against the spread in the last 8 games, following a straight up loss.
So Washington State, they bounced back after losses.
Yes, and it's put some money on it. Just watch this kid; he looks great. He's going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate next year. Okay. Let's go to the Las Vegas Bowl. We have Oregon State -10 against Florida. Oregon State has been great against the spread this year. I think that when they're favored, what do you got there, Gator?
Oregon State is 10-2 against the spread this season, and it's tied the second best coverage percentage in the FBS.
And
Oregon State is 7-1 against the spread as a favorite this season.
In Florida has I think Richardson, their quarterback, is not playing. He's entering the draft. That's a good pick right there. I like Oregon State.
Florida failed to cover its last 4 bowl games, although they are 5-0 against the spread as an underdog this season. That
you look at their bowl games, and they're always have the players in the SEC. Florida that's very good in the draft, and I think that they opt out. Most of the players do opt out.
They did last year.
Right. Well, Joe, I think we have to talk about one last game. I think we have to talk about the Cincinnati-Louisville. What bowl game is that, Gator, and what do you got for us?
Okay, it's the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Wasabi.
And Fenway's going to be played at Fenway Park.
Correct.
And probably Boston's the farthest away from Japan, which gives us wasabi. So, and it's going to be cold, but it'll be okay.
Well, first off, I totally go against these stats.
Okay.
This is the one I disagree with. Okay, so here's the stats. Louisville is 4-0 against the spread following a straight-up loss this season. Cincinnati is 0-3 against the spread as an underdog this season. Cincinnati is 0-4 against the spread against teams with winning records this season. And Cincinnati is 2-8-1 against the spread this season, the fourth worst over percentage in the FBS.
That's telling you bet Louisville.
Okay,
I'm taking Cincy.
I think what we have to talk about this is Luke Fickell, the coach of Cincinnati, is gone. He is on his way to Wisconsin.
Right.
And Louisville's coach, Scott Scatterfield, is now the coach of Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
So who does he vote for? He's not going to be on the field. They're having they're taking the coaches are all going to be gone for this game because they're taking their coaches with them to their new place. So I think the special teams coach is now the head coach for Louisville, and who knows the coach for Cincinnati. But I think Cincinnati last year was a good team. I think they were
top
great.
four. They're undefeated going into the Final Four.
Yes, and so let these seniors go out. I say you take the 1.5 points. I'm going to take Cincinnati with you.
Cincy, yeah.
But it's just going to be interesting because it's really good thing about Scott Scatterfield. How does he? I mean, he has his new team what he's coaching next year, and then all the people he recruited on Louisville. So he will not be at the game. He said he's not even going to the game. I think he's going to go to the movie and watch Avatar with his wife.
Good move on his part. What a strange situation that is.
Very strange.
Yes, I never heard of that happening before. Okay, so is that it for
That's
picks?
it for our picks.
All right. Well, Gator, we've already arrived at the championship game in the World Cup of Soccer. What occurred in the last week of games?
Boy, how fast it goes, don't it?
Yep.
Okay, well, the first two, Croatia and Brazil, that went to penalty kicks, Joe.
Croatia knocked off the tournament favorite.
Exactly. Brazil, yeah, they were just watching that first half too. I don't know if you saw that game or not, but they didn't look very good in the first half. And Croatia just played their game and just kept coming. And
that was the penalty kick, right, Gabe? That was one. I mean, not the penalty kick. It came down to
penalty kicks
at the end. And did you guys watch Messi?
That's the next one.
Okay.
Yes.
But did you watch how he kicked the ball? I mean, he looked like he was kicking it not even hard. I mean, he just fakes the amazing player, fakes him out. He's the GOAT of soccer, I guess. And he definitely did. He fakes one way and then he just barely kicks it the other way. And that's
exactly.
I mean, did he even kick it hard?
Generally take a guess as to where the ball is going to go. So if
they should be moving before the ball is kicked. That's why you'll see him kick it right down the middle. Because they guess, yes.
They go the 5 hole.
That's why you see that.
Mm-hmm.
5 holes between the legs.
That's what I'm saying, right down the middle.
But anyways, Croatia and Brazil. I had Brazil and Croatia won in penalty kicks. But then the next game, like Big Richard was talking about, is the Netherlands and Argentina. I had Argentina. I picked them. They won in penalty kicks. But I also should get a bonus here, Joe, because I did say that Netherlands to take the draw in the 90 minutes.
If you can do the tie through 90 minutes, you do get a bonus because that's plus money. So I'll give you that.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll take that. Because my record,
anything plus
well,
money
the reason why I'm asking, guys, because my record is 27, 28-1 plus 1 bonus. So that would be 500%,
Yeah.
but it's not 50-50.
Well, it's close enough. With pluses, I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It's more like 33% or something.
Like you're making the bets. You're making good picks.
All right.
Keep going there, Gator.
Okay, so of course Argentina won, just like Big Richard said, with Messi making that kick. Sure. Okay. The next day we had Morocco beating Portugal, Joe. But first time that an African nation's been in the Final Four.
That's right.
Man, that was crazy too. And Morocco just played defense. Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo, where the heck was he?
I don't know.
That's just
he was on the bench at the beginning of the games.
Yes.
And the only goal Morocco gave up in those first 5 games, they knocked in their own net.
Yes.
So an own goal.
The own goal is correct.
So the defensive minded team. So they went 0-0 into penalty kicks.
Yeah, that is right. He Cristiano Ronaldo did get in trouble. He did have to sit down.
He did argue with his coach a little bit.
Yeah. But boy, what a harsh penalty, huh?
Yes.
Anyways, so then that leaves us with Croatia playing Argentina yesterday. Argentina won 3-0. It was 2-0 at halftime. And on these prop bets, you guys, if you had Argentina winning at halftime and winning the whole game, that paid 2-1, Joe. I thought that was kind of easy money.
Yeah. Well, them beating Croatia 3-0 was a little better odds, right?
Sure.
14-1, I believe it said.
Yes.
But who would have predicted Argentina to beat Croatia by 3 goals?
3 goals. I would have
Well, they've
thought
been playing. Croatia's been playing great defense.
Yes.
They've only been giving up 1 goal a game.
That was crazy.
Morocco just got done playing France, and France beat them 2-0. At the beginning, if you listen to our World Cup segment, I took Argentina and Joe took France, so we're going to be playing each other.
How about that?
Well, we're going to have a winner on the show one way or another, unless they get a tie.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Somebody eventually will win in penalty, which I always thought the very last game, they should, since there is no more games, why even go to penalty kicks? Just keep playing until somebody scores. I don't care if they play 5 overtime.
I think a lot of people do agree with you on that on the very last game.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up, guys, is Croatia has never lost in penalty kicks in the World Cup.
Well,
Wow.
4-0.
Made a believer out of Brazil, didn't they?
Now, the American sports books were a little disappointed, though, you guys, in the betting interest. The timing of the World Cup, it coincided with football and college basketball, so that took most of the money. But if it would have been in the summertime or even in the springtime, Joe, it probably would have been better.
Yeah, everybody's saving their money for football.
Sure.
Who's really watching? I mean, how many times on a weekend are you watching football or soccer? You got a choice.
Yeah.
Most Americans are going to be watching college and pro football. So that's perfectly normal.
Watching the brown football. Not the round football.
Yeah, yes. Our football.
Right.
American football, yes. So, Gator, what's been going on in the National Hockey League?
Well, last night, Joe, Ovechkin got a hat trick and he got his 800th goal.
Yes, for Washington, Alex Ovechkin, great player.
So he's 1 goal away from Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe sitting at 801, so he's the second. And, of course, Wayne Gretzky's number 1 at 894.
Right. Got a ways to go to Gretzky.
But I want to bring up that, the very first year that Ovechkin played, he didn't play because of the lockout.
Okay.
And also with the COVID, how many games did we miss there, Joe?
Right.
So I just want to keep that in mind as he's trying to chase Gretzky here.
Right. And Gretzky never had to deal with anything like that.
No.
That's right. So who's been hot and who's been not lately? Who should we be looking at?
Toronto is 9-1 in their last 10 and 4-0 in the last 4. Pittsburgh is 6-0. Tampa Bay is 5-1, 3-0 in their last 3. Carolina 6-1, and Washington 5-0. The Rangers 4-0.
Okay, those are the hot teams.
Yes.
And who are the teams we should be betting against at this moment?
Well, of course, it's got to be Chicago 1-12.
Oh, that's really bad.
But I even put Anaheim below Chicago as far as that goes, even though they're 1-9 right now.
Okay.
New Jersey, I have to say this: they're 0-3.
As hot as they've been all season, now they're on a 3-game losing
I
streak.
had to put them in there, Joe. I didn't want to, but I had to just because of that. Detroit's 0-3, but Nashville's 0-4, and I don't know what's wrong with Nashville, but I'm picking against them a couple times here, Joe.
Okay.
For this week.
Well, speaking of, your picks went a scorching hot 9-1 last week. That puts you at 65-29 for the season,
Man,
which is an amazing
Gator.
69%.
You're a point off your Gator line there, Joe. What do you think about Gator? 1 point. He's on his way.
I know I got below the 70%. I'm going to try to get back up there again. But yes, Gator on his way up. What are your picks for this week?
Okay, Joe. Thursday, I have 3 games. I have Boston. Oh, and all these games, the teams that I'm taking are the home teams except for the very last one.
Okay.
So just get that out of the way. I'm going to take Boston over the LA Knights, Kings, LA Kings. New Jersey over Philly. Winnipeg over Nashville.
All right.
Friday, there's only 1 game. I have Minnesota over Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, I have 1 game as well. That's Edmonton over Anaheim. And like I said, Anaheim and Chicago are both playing very terrible.
Right. You mentioned that.
Oh, Saturday I got Colorado hosting Nashville.
Right.
Okay, so there's 2 against Nashville. Now Monday or Sunday I had Minnesota. Sunday I had Minnesota over Ottawa. And Tuesday I have 3 games. Winnipeg will be hosting Ottawa again, so back to back on Ottawa losing.
Right.
Seattle will be hosting St. Louis. I'm going to take Seattle over St. Louis. I think we'll get a pretty okay price on that. And Calgary playing San Jose. That's a toughie. The only game I lost last week, Joe, was Arizona beating Boston.
Yeah, that's my Bruins. Can't win them all.
I'm kind of thinking that this game might be that as well.
Okay.
But I'm still going to take them. Calgary is the better team, and they're starting to get healthy.
Wile E. Coyotes came up and got your Bruins.
Yeah. Well, they're amazing at home. Their only home loss has been in a shootout.
Right.
So if they are going to lose, it is going to be on the road.
Absolutely.
I know we're been going a little long here, but is there any news from the NBA worth noting?
Well, I'm just going to go who's hot and who's not. We got the Pelicans and the Memphis are both sitting at 8-2 runs. They're both 8-2 in their last 10. Celtics and Bucks, who we think are coming out of the East, they're both 7-3, so they're playing like the champs. Who's not? Atlanta Hawks, 3-7. And Miami is hot at 6-4. They're only a game off that lead. And the Wizards are lost 7 straight. So stay off the Washington Wizards. 76ers are starting to pull up again. They've won 3, and the Knicks have won 4.
Okay. And how about college basketball?
College basketball, Houston Cougars go down as the number 1 team. They lose to Alabama 71-65, and that puts Purdue now the new number 1 team.
Boilermakers,
they edged out Virginia, and Virginia's a team to watch. You can still get them at 25-1 odds, and they are averaging 70 points a game. So Virginia teams would always be in the 60s or high 50s playing good defense. Right. They're definitely getting their offense together, and they're definitely scoring some points.
Number 2 in the country. 25-1 right now.
And 25-1. So that's and I got Purdue. I picked them when I told you at the beginning. Purdue, they're number 1 now, and I got them, I think, at 18-1 to win it. So that was good. But we're going to talk about their big center, 7'4" Zach Edey. Sink or swim. He's from Ontario. I'm going to give you guys a hint. He is from Ontario, Canada. 7'4". Was he a high school hockey player?
No. I mean, wait a minute. He's from Canada. Yes, he was the tallest hockey player on his team. He had to have been.
What do you think, Gator?
I understand where Joe's coming from, but no. Tall guys in hockey don't work.
He definitely played hockey if he's from. I gave you the hint. 7'4". You couldn't miss him on the ice. Give him another 3 inches for his skates. So he was 7'7" skating out there, and he probably wasn't that tall then, but
he was still growing at that point.
But he did play hockey, and he also played.
Still growing now.
The only tall guy that I could think of that was good was Chara,
and he was 6'9".
So finally, the hockey coach said, "Hey, this thing's an orange basketball. This is where you need to go play on the other court. Get off the ice." But he also played baseball. Can you imagine him being he was a pitcher. He was 7'4" pitcher. So he's good to watch, and he's just amazing on there. He's going to be playing in the NBA.
The tall guys usually don't make the hockey like that.
No, but it's great when players play a lot of different sports and excel at them.
Right,
it's definitely an advantage.
Definitely had an advantage. He definitely had coordination. He was skating. So another team to watch is UConn. They're undefeated. They're at number 3. So that's what's going on in the world of basketball.
Okay, golf. We nailed the matchups last week. We had. Spieth and Thomas to beat Woods and McIlroy. Hopefully everybody jumped on that.
That's pretty easy.
Yes, it was. Checking out Hot Stove League, Major League Baseball signings gives you an idea who's really going to try to win next year. San Francisco just got Carlos Correa, shortstop from Minnesota, 13 years, $350 million. And pitcher Sean Manaea from San Diego. San Diego signed shortstop Xander Bogaerts from Boston. The New York Mets signed pitcher Jose Quintana away from St. Louis, and Kodai Senga from Japan. St. Louis got catcher Wilson Contreras from Chicago Cubs to replace Yadier Molina, who was there for a really long time. Yeah. Atlanta traded prospects for Oakland catcher Sean Murphy, just about the best player Oakland had left, and he's gone again. Of course, that's the Oakland way to play. There were other notable moves, but those we mentioned just give you an idea who's really
okay. But Joe, so they pick up Bogart. You got Fernando Tatis.
Yeah,
at shortstop.
Doesn't make any sense.
Where are you going to play? Well, you can't play him at third because you got Manny Machado at third. So
second base.
Well, yeah, but you guys, the shortstop is the guy, right?
Well,
if you could play shortstop, you could play first.
Well, I think he's going to be on a suspension. Tatis's going to be on a suspension beginning because of this. So you don't want to, but I think that probably I think what they'll do is they'll give guys rests and then off, so use them as a DH.
Yes.
Oh, great idea.
Yes.
DH. There
Good
you go.
idea.
Brilliant. So I'm going to thank Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon for keeping track of those moves for me. And for us, in fact, everybody who's listening on the show. So we get to the point where we talk about the stories. Yes, the bets that we thought were winners. Sure enough, at the very end, something went horribly wrong and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So Gator, you got a You Got Hosed story?
Yeah, well, this one actually kind of happened kind of early in the game. Monday night, I was up at the sports book, and all of a sudden, you can tell who had Arizona tickets because it was just one big gasp of air when Kyle Murray went down.
Right.
And now I don't want to take anything away from Cole McCoy. He played an excellent game. But just at that moment, everybody in that book knew that if you had Arizona, you got hosed.
Well, they were winning 13-10 at halftime, but we can thank DeAndre Hopkins and a couple other things. They never scored in the second half.
Right.
Also,
well, I'll have an extension of your hose. This is a hose extension from that game because I had New England minus a point for the first half bet. And I'm thinking that's a definite winner. And they gave up that touchdown, and Matt Jones looked like he was throwing the ball with his left hand. And they did not cover. Then they came back and played a great second half. So thank you, New England, for hosing me once again.
There you go.
Joe, do you have a You Got Hosed story for us?
Yes, my You Got Hosed story comes from last Saturday's Army-Navy game. The over-under was 33.5. 5 minutes left. The score is 10-7. No chance this game is going over, right? Well, Army kicks a field goal to tie things up. Still, it's only 10-10 going into overtime. Naturally, both teams score a touchdown in the first overtime. Final score ends up 20-17 in double overtime. There's no way that game should have gone over. Anyone who bet the under got hosed, but it was a very exciting finish. It was
the kid from Navy fumble on the 1 yard line. Thanks for hosing me on my bet, buddy. I mean, they're getting ready to go up by 7. And as you said, Joe, there is 114 meetings, never an overtime game. So you think you got it, and then you don't.
Then you don't.
Then you got hosed.
You got hosed.
Well, that's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, all our contributors, our editor, producer, and engineer Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. Coveringthefield.com.